That's right. We're right back here this afternoon having a good time with Toni Abel right here, who is the Executive Director of Healthy Greenwood Neighborhoods and coordinator for Keep Greenwood Beautiful. And I tell you what, Toni, you've got more than a full-time job, but you handle it well.
Well, thank you, Miss Ann. I love that I have the opportunity to do what I do.
Absolutely. And you've been, it just keeps expanding what you're doing.
It does. More and more communities, neighborhoods, and homeowners association, property owners associations are really taking a good look at their surroundings and realizing that we need to make some changes and get more involved with organizations such as Healthy Greenwood Neighborhoods.
And of course, you keep expanding the number of neighborhoods that you are having people involved in.
We do. Currently, we have on roll about 186 neighborhoods. Of those, probably about 80 of them participate in activities on a year-round basis. So that's a lot for one staff person to handle.
That is. And, when you started this, it certainly was a lot smaller number than that.
It was. I remember very clearly I was given, when I started with the Chamber of Commerce back in '97, I was given a single piece of notebook paper, and this was at the location, the Chamber was located right there. I think First Citizens is in our building location now, and I was told to go build neighborhoods. So that I think we have done and accomplished very well.
I guess, Toni, if you say if they build it, they will come, because you have definitely built it, and they have definitely come.
They have definitely come, and it's been a joyous ride. I've truly enjoyed it.
Sure. And, of course, you just keep coming up with new ways. We have the gardens now, the Greenwood Gardens. We have projects that people can get involved in, and it just keeps getting better and better. But just recently you had the Shred Day over there at Lowe's, and that was a huge success. What are the numbers?
It was a banner success this year at Lowe's of Greenwood on Saturday, April the 26th. We had wonderful volunteers that came out and helped everyone, and we were able to collect 19,710 pounds of paper.
That's a lot of paper.
That's a lot of paper. I was amazed. We filled up a truck in 3/4. The company that we use, Shred Away, they know when they come to Greenwood, they bring 2 trucks now, so that they don't have to race back to get another truck. So we're very proud of that number. Since we started this back in 2010, we have actually collected over 41 tons of paper that has been kept from going into the Greenwood County landfill or on our roadways.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about, Toni, do you have any idea how many people have contributed to this? Like from last time, do you know how many people bring the paper in? That would be interesting to know.
That would be interesting if we could keep an accurate count, but it is so busy. From the time we start, or actually from the time I get there and start pulling things out of my car, I already have people lined up even before the shred truck gets there. So in future years, we might be able to actually do a people count as far as the number of folks that show up and actually contribute to that.
Or a vehicle count. Yeah.
Exactly. So that would be something neat that we could possibly do.
Sure.
And along with that event, this past April, we also had the e-waste or electronic waste collection, and we collected a record amount with that as well, in collecting 5,320 pounds of e-waste. And it ranged from everything from answer machines to vacuum cleaners to 2 old turntables that broke my heart to throw in the dumpster. We had 5 or 6 men gather around those turntables and just look at them and really ask the man that was going to throw them away, are they really broken? And he said yes, they were definitely broken and irreparable.
Well, we contributed at WCRS. We went through our back room and found a lot of old computers and all that kind of stuff. And then we cleaned out a tremendous amount of paper. And one of the things that I really think that everybody needs to know, one of the things that might hold you back from doing this is you think you have to unload it yourself. Wrong answer.
No, that is correct. We actually have some great volunteers from throughout the community that show up, and they actually come out and unload things from your cars. Even before you have a chance to put your car in park, our volunteers descend upon those vehicles and start saying, okay, what door do we open, or can you open the trunk, and we'll carry all that material out for you.
It is phenomenal.
It is wonderful. And you do also, of course, have the opportunity to watch your documents being shredded.
Yeah.
We did have one lady who insisted she followed that bin from the time her materials went from her car into the bin to the shred truck. She sat there and watched her materials go up the shred truck's, whatever it's called, into the bin and get dumped, and she watched on the video screen to make sure it was shredded.
Wow.
So she was definitely one of those wanted to make sure her identity was not stolen.
Yeah, well, it is tremendous. I mean, I'll bet I was in and out of there in 5 minutes, had time to go back and get another load.
That's correct.
It was great. Yeah.
And it's a fun time because, for me, I get a chance to see a whole lot of people in a different atmosphere than I normally do. So it's a lot of fun.
Yes. So the next time it comes now, do you have any idea when it's going to be?
We are looking at Saturday, October the 25th.
Okay.
And again, it'll be from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Lowe's of Greenwood because they're just a tremendous partner with us.
Sure. So if you've got stuff that particularly on the e-waste stuff, you can start setting that aside and know that it is going to be coming back again.
Yes, and all your papers and everything of that nature as well.
Sure. Now this year you didn't do the pill drop. That actually was done with the police department or the
sheriff's office, right? That was actually headed up by Captain Dale Kittles with the Greenwood Sheriff's Office, and he took the lead on that event. And from what I understand, they had a very successful event. And according to the paper, I think they collected close to 200 pounds of prescription medication there at their site at Self Regional Healthcare's Imaging Center.
That's pretty awesome right there. I think when you look at what the article in the paper said, that last October the national initiative enjoyed its second largest give pack, taking in 324 tons at more than 5,600 sites. That's a phenomenal amount.
It is, and people now realize that when you have prescription medication or even over-the-counter medication and pet medication, that it's really not safe to put that in your trash, nor is it safe to flush it down the commode or in your sink, because when you put it back into our wastewater, then eventually it has to get more treated. And I always say, depending on what kind of prescription drugs people are taking, if they flush enough of it, we might be really happy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So these are all really, really, really good initiatives, and I am so glad that they have continued to grow. You would think, as many years as you've been doing this, we'd start seeing a little less, but if anything, we're seeing a lot more.
We are, and I think, even with the shred day, we had people come up as we're closing up, the truck is driving away, and I had 2 or 3 carloads say, wait, and I said, I'm sorry, they've left. And they say, when is the next one, I tell them, and I say, you also have the option, if you don't want to hold on to it, you can always take it to the Salem Church Road Convenience Center and personally shred it. I did that a few years ago with some resumes we had gotten in the office and some other stuff I needed to get rid of. It was very therapeutic to shred it yourself. It was like finale, it was like a finite thing just to watch it get ground up like that. But that's located at the Salem Church Road location at the Convenience Center.
When you used to have credit card slips, that you had to use the thing that showed the number and everything back in the day. I used to have one of my girls sit there with a shredder, and she used to love that job because she'd sit there feeding them in.
And you can see what you've done.
Exactly.
It's like mowing a huge field. You can look back and check out, look at the great job I did.
Exactly. All right, well, we are here with Toni Abel. Hey, if you've got a question or a comment, don't hesitate to call us, 229-7984. That's 229-7984. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Oh, wow. Gracie's over there just snoozing. Isn't this lovely? Yes, it's great. Hey, we're right here at Sharp Facets Gallery. I have Toni Abel with us. She's Executive Director of Healthy Greenwood Neighborhoods. And, Toni, if we should give out your telephone number. If somebody wants to contact you to ask a question after they've heard about this or something, how do they get in touch with you?
That's great. My office number is 864-941-3370. My office is still located in the Greenwood Chamber of Commerce building. I have office space in the back that we rent, so it's a great location, easy access. You can get in and get out, or just give me a telephone call.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I know you're really, really excited about, but we're actually, I hate to say it, I'm a little bit depressed to hear our numbers on this vote today for the Troy built $12,000. We're not doing too well.
No, we're kind of waning a little bit in the polls. Currently, just before I came over here to the studio at WCRS at Sharp Facets, we had 1,158 votes.
But how does that compare with the others?
Well, not too good. I say with a smile. And I appreciate all those who have already voted, obviously. Our biggest competitor is Keep North Platte and Lincoln County Beautiful in North Platte, Nebraska. That's actually very close to where I used to live in Palmyra, Nebraska. So,
How about that?
which is kind of neat. They have 5,302 votes. They might have
5,000?
Yeah, I would imagine they have those Cornhuskers behind them. That's how they've got all those
Well,
votes.
we need these Greenwoodians behind us.
Yeah, we need all those Lander Bearcats or former senators behind us as well. And it is an online Facebook contest. And as you all may remember, about a year and a half ago, we were up for the YMCA Fresh Pages Facebook contest, where we were able to actually win the $5,000 grant from YMCA America to build our Veterans Affairs Center garden, which is just beautiful. So I know we have it in us to log on at takingroot.troybuilt.com, clicking yes and whatever else they ask, and voting for Keep Greenwood County Beautiful. It's easy to do. It takes less than 30 seconds, really. It's a very quick process.
And you can do it every day.
And
it's
you can,
not
and
just a one
it's
vote.
It's not just a one vote thing. And often I see when I put, obviously every morning, before I leave the house, I go ahead and vote. And
Right.
I see friends liking my pages that I vote, that says vote, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to takingroot.troybuilt.com to vote and then having them log in with Facebook as well.
And they can vote every day.
Every single day, and we need that. It would be wonderful and great if we were able to win the big $12,000 grant that goes along with this. I'm just honored that we were one of the national finalists. There were only 5 of those picked out of about 50 to 60 applicants.
So how did you get to be there?
Well, through our great board member, Miss Elise Benson, and myself.
Elise, yeah.
Elise is fabulous. She's my board member. She's my volunteer, so nobody else can have her. She's wonderful. She and I sat down, and actually she really took the bull by the horns on this one and went through the grant process and wrote the grant, and then I did some tweaking, and we both, kind of reviewed it together and sent it off with a kiss. As we do with all of our grant applications, we send them away with a big sloppy kiss and pray that we will get accepted. So that's really great that we're one of the 5 national finalists. It does bring great light to our community gardening project that has just grown by leaps and bounds since 2010. And this is just kind of another one of our kudos in a hat that we can, if we don't win the big prize, we will win some Troy Built products and a little bit of grant money or seed money that they're offering to us. Myself, as well as some of our community volunteers for the gardens, will be out at Lowe's on Thursday with our Troy Built rep for this area. He's offered to sit out there with us at Lowe's and solicit votes while we can sit at Lowe's and talk to the customers that come in and out of Lowe's as well.
I think that's great.
I think it'll be neat.
But you can be selfish about this because you could win something just for voting every day,
You
right?
could, well, and that contest actually is over, Ann.
Oh,
I didn't
realize
realize it. No, but interestingly enough, that was an additional voting contest that went along with this Facebook
okay.
voting contest, where individuals who voted early were put in the kitty, so to speak, to win gift cards from Lowe's of $300, $200, and $100, I think.
Right.
Well, the young lady who lives in St. Paul, Minnesota, won the $300. She was also allowed to choose one of the 5 finalists to win a matching $300, and she actually chose Keep Greenwood County Beautiful.
How about that? From St. Paul?
From St. Paul, Minnesota. Her name is Lois, and I'm just going to use her initial, Lois O. So I asked permission to reach out to her to thank her, and I Facebooked her and I emailed her, kind of like I was stalking a little bit. I figured out who she was.
That's okay.
I can find anybody.
Yes.
And I reached out to her and I gave her my phone number. I said, please call me. I'd like to thank you personally for choosing Keep Greenwood County Beautiful, and she did. Very nice young lady. And I asked her, I said, why did you, do you have any connections to Greenwood? Because, we all say in Greenwood, it all comes back to Greenwood somehow or another. She said, no, I just liked your project. I think community gardening projects and things that you do with the youth of the community is just fabulous, and I wanted to help you.
Wow.
So all the way from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Doesn't that make you feel
It
good?
did. I was tickled. I really was. Little hairs on my arms stood up. I thought that was very sweet at first. So we will be receiving $300 from the Taking Root competition, along with whatever other prizes that we do end up winning.
But it's not over yet.
It's not over. It goes until May the 25th.
Right.
And it's takingroot.troybuilt.com. And Troy Built is spelled TROYBILT.
That's right.
So just go there every day and vote for us, please. We need your help.
That's right. So this is a plea. We have until May 25th.
May 25th, midnight.
Midnight. So if you went every day, And if you inspired somebody else to go too, you could help us. We could pull it out.
We could pull it
But
out.
it's not over yet.
No, it's not over yet. We're looking to gain some in the polls, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think probably up there at those other places, they're probably saying to themselves, "We've won, and
Exactly.
maybe they won't be pushing as hard."
And considering with North Platte, if they already have the Huskers behind them, I would imagine college students are let out by now. So,
Yeah. So-
no offense to any Huskers out there. I am a Husker too.
All right, so this would be a wonderful thing to do. And, one of the things I've been talking about in the morning, just because you may not have a Facebook page, you probably have a young person that does, or a friend that could vote, correct?
Exactly. If you don't have Facebook, you can call my office at 864-941-3370. I can provide you with some additional materials that you could send out to your business, your employees, your former employees, your barbershop, your beauty shop, your churches. I know the churches of the Little River Multicultural Center, they send it out to all their church members as well. So just anybody, because I can guarantee that everyone knows someone on Facebook.
That's right. So, but I was just saying, a grandmother may have a grandchild that's on Facebook, or a daughter or something.
Right, and you don't have to worry about getting any of those extra silly apps. You won't get sucked into Farmville or something like that, or Candy Crush. Lord forbid, I'm on Candy Crush. Hiatus, personally, I've turned it off.
How are you doing with this? Are you okay?
I am. I really am. I have not played Candy Crush in about a month and a half.
Wow, I'm
Where's my
impressed.
phone? I had to stop. I really did. But we all know somebody on Facebook, and it's very easy. It doesn't send you any extra apps or anything that's annoying or fill your news feed with junk.
Okay.
And so all it is you go to www.takingroot.troybuilt.com. It'll say, please log into Facebook. You click OK. It magically logs you in. I don't know how it does that. And then it'll ask if you accept the app, and you click OK. And then after that, you find Keep Greenwood County Beautiful and vote every day.
So there you
It's
go.
very simple, less than 30 seconds.
That's right. So, and probably once you set it up once, it goes even
It does.
quicker.
What I did with mine, and this was a suggestion from one of my board members, Mamie Nicholson, was just to bookmark it in my little tab bar so I can just quickly get to it.
Sure. So you have till May 25th. Today is May 13th. If everybody listening out there started doing this and telling other people about it,
We could win, up to $12,000 for our community gardening project, which has grown by leaps and bounds. We have 23 of them, and I bet we'll talk about those when we get back from the break.
absolutely. So this is your opportunity to help out. Speaking about the garden, the healing garden that was put down behind the Veterans Center, that really turned out nice. And that
It
was
is beautiful.
another place where Greenwood got involved, and we won $5,000.
Exactly, and I remember Carrie's response when Elise and I, we got the information about the grant, and we're thinking, okay, what can we do with it? What can we do with this? Sounds really fun and easy, and it was like, maybe a 2,000-page essay or something like that to apply for it, which is, easy peasy for Elise. And she and I went over there and we talked to poor Carrie, and he just kind of looked at us and like, you want to do what?
Carrie Bolt would say that.
Yeah, we're kind of known as the two crazy garden ladies sometimes. And he said, because we went around, looked at it, and it was in such disrepair. I mean, he was still in the early processes of rebuilding the Veterans Center, which is absolutely beautiful now. And he looked at it and said, I don't care, go for it. Do what you want to do back here. So he really gave us carte blanche, and we were very excited to be able to complete that project for our veterans of the community. I think that is so very important.
And if we hadn't gotten that money for that, I would be afeared at what they would have done back there.
I cannot talk to that.
All right. Well, we are here with Toni Abel. We are going to hear the news, then we'll be back. Hey, why don't you go right now, if you're sitting at your computer, to takingroot.troybuilt.com. Register and vote right now. Help us out. We need that $12,000. Just think how much more can happen with the gardens if we had that kind of money. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's fun. It's easy. Go ahead and do it right now. Hey, we'll be back after the news.
Are you a pirate or a pack rat? Do you have a vacation of a lifetime sitting in the attic? Or a college tuition hung on a wall? Or is a fabulous retirement hidden in your jewelry box? Bring those items to Sharp Facets Gallery. We can establish value and buy from you or sell for you. And so ends another chapter at Sharp Facets Gallery. 72 Bypass, and on the web, sharpfacets.com.
Oh, that's right. We're right back here, Sharp Facets Gallery. How you doing this afternoon? Hey, one of our favorite listeners wants to be able to vote for this Tory Built project here that's going to go to community gardens. She doesn't have a Facebook page, so what would you recommend here, Toni?
I would recommend that she come by Sharp Facets and pick up one of my Vote to Keep Our Community Beautiful bumper stickers. I'm sorry, not bumper stickers. What are these called?
Badges.
Badges, pins.
Yes.
Whatever they're called. And that way she can share it with other people. Unfortunately, I didn't get to choose how the contest, was performed. But it is a Facebook, you have to have Facebook in order to vote. If you
Unless Sandy has a relative
relative friend, church member, beautician.
Yeah.
Anybody, I bet she has friends that have Facebook.
I know where Sandy works, and I'll bet a lot of the people up there have Facebook pages. Sandy, you're just going to have to be creative and say, please vote, right?
Just please vote. Tell them just to go to takingroot.troybuilt.com and vote for Keep Greenwood County Beautiful.
In fact, Sandy could be in charge of getting everybody on at the restaurant she works at.
There you go. And her customers.
There you go. There you go. So, Sandy, you are going to be very busy, and if you'd like some materials, I guess maybe you could drop some more stuff by here.
I can. I'll be happy to do that tomorrow morning.
And she can drop by here and pick up some stuff and see what she could do to help get this restaurant on board with helping with this
That
project.
would be fabulous, because I bet they have a lot of customers.
Yep, they do.
And they tell them they can't get their food until they vote.
All right, Sandy, I'm counting on you out there. Everybody else, think creatively that way.
Exactly. You go, I bet, to at least 5 different places in your normal day. And if you just ask anybody you run into, have you voted for Keep Greenwood County Beautiful yet? And give them the information about voting at takingroot.troybuilt.com, I bet we can get some more votes that way.
Sure. So, Sandy, you're on board. You have a mission. Yes, everybody here in Greenwood has a mission. Let's get $12,000 for these gardens. Now, what type of things would you get if we did win? And I guess we need to qualify that we will win something.
We will. We will. Even if we come in 4th place, is which obviously that's where we're in right now. We will receive some Troy Built products. What those products are, currently at this time, I don't have that information. But what we plan to do is, when we created the budget for it, we divided up the monies in the different categories of levels that we would win, to say that, these are some of the things that the money would go towards. One thing I do know is some of the money we hope, if we win the big prize, will go towards the Little River Multicultural Center garden to help with their deer issue. Several years ago, when Mr. Hudson Goodwin was still among us and still living, he called me up and he said, Toni, you got to come to the garden. You got to come to the garden. I said, okay, yes, sir. So I drove up to the garden there, and he said, I need to show you the watermelon patch and how great it is. And I said, okay. I said, so we went in his old truck along the bumpy roads, through the pastures, through the acreage. I was like, where is he taking me? Because the watermelon patch at that time was down below in some other fields. I'm like, where is Mr. Hudson taking me? And we got to the garden, the field where the watermelons were. And we got out and we looked around, and the deer had feasted on them the night before.
Oh, no.
Mr. Hudson's eyes filled up with tears. He was so devastated that the deers just, they had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's a huge problem up in that area is the deer population. So they're really looking at installing some proper deer fences around some of the more tender, crops that they have.
Wow.
And I'd love to be able to award that to them in Mr. Goodwin's honor. He was a dear friend and a tremendous gardener, and who I miss. So,
he was a dear friend.
Oh, I didn't mean
deer.
to. Sorry, Hudson. Thanks, Ann, for saying that. He was a wonderful person.
There you go. Yes, and the deer got the better of their garden.
They did that year. They did. Yes, ma'am.
So, anyway, there's a lot of neat stuff that will be. We'll come
right, and also supplies. Additional supplies for the gardens, because a lot of these gardens really operate on a shoestring and a prayer. They don't have a lot of supplies. They don't have a lot of materials. We are looking towards, hopefully, through some other grant sources, possibly being able to purchase a tiller that can be shared among the 23 gardens.
23?
We have 23 gardens with 5 more on the way.
Wow.
And that's, one tiller is going to be, put to an awful lot of use, but, grant monies and funding for a program such as this are difficult to find. We've been very successful over the years, but when you grow, you still need more supplies and things of that nature. And also irrigation, installing some drip irrigation in our gardens is a big help. I've got a fabulous picture from the town in '96 when they had their first community garden there. I think going on at least 4 years ago, they had probably a 400-foot hose that was put together, and 8 to 10 people held that hose from the water source all the way along to get it to the garden.
Wow.
Because they didn't have a local close by water source.
Wow.
So that's dedication right there. So now they have, through other grant sources and assistance, they do have irrigation in the '96 garden, but other gardens as well could use some of those assistance. As far as money to buy seedlings, mulch, soil, plants, tools.
Sure. Now, but one of the neat things is you just started the. You had the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Genesis Garden.
We did.
What's the purpose of having the greenhouse there? Twofold.
It's twofold, exactly, Ms. Ann. We have the Genesis Academy greenhouse that was just, we cut the ribbon, I think, last week or the week before that. That facility there is a fully operational educational greenhouse that will help teach horticulture skills to the students that are transitioned to the Genesis Academy while they complete their curriculum there. And also the caring and nurturing part of the skills that they're going to be learning is so important for these students. That they can start something from seed and watch it grow and know that they nurtured that plant, and that plant will leave the Genesis Academy and go to our community gardens,
Right.
where it will then help feed people.
Sure.
And so that they're going to be a part of that process the whole step way through that. So we're very excited to be able to offer that. We're hoping that we'll have all the faculty in place, that we can start with some of our cool crops or cold crops this late fall within that. So we kind of missed the boat a little bit with the early seedlings just because Mother Nature rained on us, Mother Nature snowed on us, the federal government shut down on us. We faced a lot of challenges with that greenhouse, but it's up, it's running, and it's beautiful.
Well, I think one of the things that's really interesting, Toni, is the fact that now they grow all the plants for the topiaries, which several years ago they had to buy them, and now down at the greenhouse.
Now the city greenhouse, they take care of growing all the plants for the topiaries. So that's a wonderful project that the city of Greenwood and the South Carolina Festival of Flowers embarked on.
Sure. But that's cut down on their costs
It has.
because they don't have to buy them.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. So it's a really neat facility there.
Exactly. So I just think that it's really neat. Now, you said you have 23 gardens. Now, what if, and 5 more on the way, what if somebody's listening out there, what does it take to have a community garden?
It takes a plot of land that has at least 8 hours of full sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a dedicated water source for that space. And it also takes at least 5 to 8 committed volunteers. Not committable, but committed volunteers within the neighborhood to do that. We have a lot of different gardens. We have all raised bed gardens. We also have earth box gardens, and we have traditional row gardens as well in some of our communities.
Now, you were talking about the one right off of Pearl Street over
Yes.
here when we were off the air. Tell us a little bit about that one.
The Pearl Street Garden was started on a piece of property that was originally had a home on it, but they ended up demolishing the home, and the owner of that property wanted to do something good for the neighborhood. And so he talked with a friend of his and said, hey, would you be interested in community gardening? I know this Toni Abel crazy garden lady who might be able to help us. So these 2 gentlemen came to my office and said, we want to start a garden. And I said, where? And they said, on Pearl Street. And I said, where's that? And he said, well, let us show you. And they came and showed me. And I said, do you want to put a garden here? I mean, I was, quite shocked. It's a very challenged area. And they said, yep, we want to do a garden.
It's really over there behind County Bank.
Over there behind County Bank in that
on this
area.
end
Yes,
of
ma'am.
of the bypass.
And I said, okay. I said, we'll try it. And those 2 gentlemen have been very dedicated. They have 2 nice raised beds in the front of the garden. They have the raised beds in the front and then the traditional rows in the back. They raised so much okra last year. They didn't realize that if you plant all the seeds, God will make them grow. And when you have a package of okra seeds, you have a lot of okra seeds.
That's right.
So they actually were able to supply some of the okra plants to other gardens, a lot of okra plants to other gardens last year. And they actually faced some challenges with some of the youth that used to hang out in the corner in the area around there. They actually came in and vandalized the garden.
Wow.
And a gentleman called me, Mr. Belcher called me, and he was angry. And I don't know in the time I've known him ever heard him say a word or a curse word. He was mad. And I said, put it back. He said, what do you mean put it back? I said, put the garden back. I said, clean it up and put it back. Well, they'll do it again. I said, then you put it back again. And so we did that, and they finally, I think, got the message that, we're not going to stand for you vandalizing our gardens, because they, I think the youth that hung out there felt threatened that, this might help the community, make the community change a little bit, and the community be a little bit less receptive to them hanging out in the corners like they had been. So I'm very proud of that garden. It is a beautiful garden. They take really good care of it. In the raised beds, they put flowers and herbs to help just beautify the area a little bit. I think they've started with a fence to help, curb some of the people coming in and out. It's amazing.
You've also got some help through the sheriff's or
through
city
the police department is making more patrols in that area, along with some of the property owners as well, trying to put up no trespassing signs and things of that nature. So I'm excited about that, and that garden actually is going to be on the South Carolina Festival of Flowers tour this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how things work with that.
Absolutely. Well, we are here with Toni Abel. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what's going to be going on with the Festival of Flowers, some of the great gardens, and some of the other things that have been happening in your neighborhood right here, Greenwood, South Carolina. Don't you go away. Oh, that's right. We're right back here, 4:51 in the afternoon. We've been having some fascinating conversation about these gardens and how everything is growing. And, it really is good to see a community that back in, 1997? Is that when you started at the Chamber?
That's when I became employed as the Neighborhood Development Director of the Chamber of Commerce.
How does it make you feel now, Toni, to look around? Here it is, 2014. All the communities that have been helped and things that are happening. We were talking about Grendel. I was driving through Grendel the other day. Saw people out on their porches having cookouts and just having a good time out there. How does it make you feel?
It gives you a great feeling. I have made and have so many great friends, and I consider, a lot of them family. I mean, they, I get announcements of, things that have happened within their families, and the changes that have happened to our neighborhoods over time. All of our neighborhoods that participate with Healthy Greenwood Neighborhoods have benefited one way or the other. Are things perfect in all of our neighborhoods? By no means. They still have issues, but they have a definite resource to come to when those issues get to the point of saying, I need to make a change or we need to make a change. So
sure.
It's a great feeling to be able to help the Greenwood community.
Sure. And of course, looking out for your neighborhood is one of the big important things. We wanted to talk just a little bit about the Grendel Village, how it was in pretty bad disrepair.
It was. I mean, Grendel Mill Village had seen a lot of turnover with individuals who lived there. They'd seen a lot of rental property move into the neighborhood, which is not necessarily bad by any means, but a lot of the residents had gotten older, had younger residents moving in that weren't necessarily proper homeowners or really did not know how to care for a home. They had a lot of issues, about 15 years ago with a lot of drugs and crime in their neighborhood, and they stepped up and said, we're going to do things differently. We are going to monitor our neighborhood better. We're going to get in touch with agencies and organizations and governmental entities that can help us make positive changes in our neighborhood with our neighbors, not just by ourselves. And they've done a great job, and they continue to try to make changes. They have the wonderful flower garden that they have over there in Smythe Avenue. They have a great relationship with Holy Redeemer Church there. They have their community garden there as well. They've done improvements as far as being able to lobby to get more sidewalks and sidewalk repairs done in their community. They've done some great things, and I will continue to see them do great things. They're actually having a really important meeting in the next week or so on Tuesday, May the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at Holy Redeemer Family Life Center on Jordan Street, where they're asking investors and individuals who own property in the community to come back into the community and talk with them about how some things have been happening and how some changes may need to be made, and what are some of the positive things that are happening in Grendel, and just share with them, some of their concerns and some of their highlights of things that have happened.
So This is a terrific thing. Now, talking also about these gardens, they have given a lot of food. They have created a tremendous amount of food for food banks for some of these organizations.
They have. Currently, I said earlier, we have 23 neighborhood-based, community, volunteer-led gardens that are scattered throughout the Greenwood community. Since we started this project back in 2010, I believe, we have donated, they have donated over 20,000 pounds of fresh produce to our emergency food service agencies in Greenwood County.
And they have enjoyed it themselves.
Yes, they have. And they have, and that doesn't count the amount that's gleaned from the garden, from the gardeners,
Right.
or the amount that's given out in the community. It doesn't account for some of the collards that are stolen, which is strange to me, but people do steal collards and tomatoes. So that, some of that is not
Sure.
counted within that. I do know that in 2013, 390 families received fresh produce from the Greenwood County Food Bank.
Wow.
And traditionally our food banks, canned foods,
Right.
processed foods, and things of that. And, through no fault of our food banks, but that's what people tend to donate. So it's so very nice that our gardens are able to offer this fresh produce to the food bank customers within that. So we're very, very, very proud of that. We have
20,000 pounds.
20,000 pounds. So
And that's, you haven't even gotten into this year.
no, and we haven't even started within this year. And understand that every year since 2010, we've added 5 gardens. So, the first 5 did so many, then the 10 did so many, and then the 15, and that sort of thing. So, those numbers are pretty big numbers. So it's not just all 23 gardens that did that 20,000 pounds.
Started with 5.
You started with 5 within that. So, and that, the project for the community gardening project has been solely grant funded.
Wow.
Which has been very, very exciting. And I could go on, but you don't have enough time left, I
No, I
believe,
don't.
to thank all of our sponsors. But they are tremendous, and they are on our webpage, which is healthygreenwoodneighborhoods.org under the grant tab. So you can look at all of our wonderful sponsors that we have within that program.
Absolutely. Now, we wanted to talk a little bit about what was happening with the Festival of Flowers. They are going to have community garden day tours.
We are our community gardeners, and please remember, listeners, they are all volunteers, or voluntolds. Some of them say that they're
Voluntolds.
These are all dedicated volunteers throughout the community that work in these gardens. Nobody gets paid to do this by any means. And we actually have 7 of them that are going to be on tour for the South Carolina Festival of Flowers this
Wow.
year. The date for the majority of the garden tours, or for the community garden tours, and from what I understand, our community gardens are going to be the only official gardens that are on tour. I do believe the Men's Garden Club, the Men's Garden was going to be on tour, and a few other little pocket areas are going to be on tour, but as far as any official community garden tours, we are the only ones. And that begins on Saturday, June the 21st from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And they need volunteers, so if anybody's interested in hanging out with some gardeners, and you might get some fresh produce out of the deal, they probably could use a few community volunteers to help them out. But we have the 96 Mill Village Community Garden, the Grendel Mill Village Community Garden, the Little River Multicultural Center Garden. I already talked about the Pearl Street Community Garden, the Brown Drive Garden out there in Hodges, as well as the Promised Land Community Garden will be on tour. And I promise you, these gardeners are scared.
They're scared?
They're scared.
Because?
They're expecting a lot of visitors to their garden,
Sure.
and they want their gardens to look pristine.
Well, if the weather continues
if
like
the weather continues like it is, it will be so helpful. But know that they're starting about 3 or 4 weeks behind, because Mother Nature hadn't quite settled down yet earlier
Right.
this season. But I'm so proud that they stepped up. I'm very excited for them. This is just a great opportunity for them to be able to showcase all the hard work that they have done.
Sure. Well, I think that is tremendous, and everybody needs to get behind it. Now, if somebody would like to volunteer, how do they let you know they'd like to volunteer, Toni?
They can give me a call at the office at 864-941-3370.
Okay, so 864-941-3370. Now, one more time. Y'all, I'm helping out here, but we need your vote.
We need your vote, and we need you to please tell your friends, your family, your co-workers, your beautician, where you eat, where you shop,
Where you bank.
anywhere, where you go to school,
Right.
to please visit takingroot.troybuilt.com, and that's TAKINGROOT.com. troybuilt.com. And it'll ask you to sign in with Facebook. You click OK. It magically does something to sign you in. Not that you weren't already signed in, because I'm sure you were. Accept the app and vote every single day for Keep Greenwood County Beautiful. I know we can pull this off.
That's right. And if you'd like to go out there this Thursday, right?
This Thursday, I will be out at Lowe's of Greenwood. Myself or some other community volunteers will be at Lowe's of Greenwood from 9 until 5 with our Troy Built representative for this area, which is I'm kind of excited about. So I get to learn about Troy Built products.
There you go. Hey, this is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Toni, thanks so much for coming out today.
Thank you, Miss Ann. I always love spending time with you. I appreciate it.
It was great, and
Thank
Gracie
you.
was good. Okay.
I know. I'm kind of sad.
All right. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Bye-bye, everybody.